their Ford Fiesta, and then it's another father and son pairing. Gary Duckman, a former Dunlop Production touring car champion in the UK, alongside his 16-year-old son having his first ever race. Lewis Duckman will take over that car. George Wright is next up with Simon Morris showing the car from him as they line up on row number 12 and row number 13. It is Tommy Valentine who is partnered up with Costa Krietsis. Ollie Moss will join them alongside, and then it is Stephen Arant, whose brother Michael Arant has been racing in a McLaren GT4 car here this weekend in GT Cup. Jack Fuller sits alongside on the 14th row of the grid. So, say the pit window is between the 15th and 30th minute of the race. The car on the outside of the front row of the grid, the number 91 Porsche, had problems yesterday with oil leaking down onto the exhaust, which caused its retirement from a top 6 position in the MSV Trackday Championship. That's been fixed overnight, talking to Colin Tester earlier on today. Red lights on, red lights go off now, and the rear-wheel drive, rear-engine Porsche initially gets the jump on Michael Rawlings, heading down in towards Redgate Corner for the first time. Can the Beamer fight back on the brakes because it's got the inside line? The answer is no, it can't. So it is the Colin Tester James Rowling Porsche Boxster that is leading the way through Redgate Corner, and it will be the BMW of Michael Rawlings that slots itself into second place by the look of things. We'll pick up on who is in third at the moment. That looks as though it is going to be the Jack Wright and Matt Allett Porsche 944 that's there in third position. Fourth is Paul McHugh. Fifth is going to be the Semprini Racing Jeremy Evans and Phil Hart Honda, and Nicole Drought has dropped down towards the bottom of the top 6 as things currently stand. Keep an eye on what's going on in the individual classes as well as the race wears on, but the front 2 just sort of stretching their legs a little bit and trying to get away in the early stages of it. Huge grid of cars, and the front of it is already exiting Coppice. The tail end of it is just coming up towards McLean's Corner, which includes at the back of it the Ginetta that started off the very tail end of the field, David Griffiths, who was a late entry and a late addition onto the entry list. But it's Porsche from Beamer from Porsche, Boxster from 3 Series from 944 for the lead of the race. And it's the Hondas that are doing battle next, the 2 Civics together as well. So that will be Jeremy Evans and Phil Hart's blue Honda Civic Type R, fighting away with number 70 car of Nicole Drought. And they'll be squabbling over, I think, what will be 6th and 7th places. Yeah, here they come. The blue car on the inside line going in towards Redgate. Nicole Drought on the outside line, who we've seen in the past claim wins in the likes of Enduro KA. She finished second overall in one of the Trackday Trophy races, Trackday Championship races last year. She's had class wins in Club Sport Enduro, which is another club that run that one, not MSVR or MSVT that we're with this weekend. She's been very, very successful. Has also had the opportunity to drive some fantastic other machinery as well. A couple of Formula 1 cars she's been driving, including the likes of a March and a 1993 Benetton. Right, Andy Burton's getting involved here as well in the Burton-powered Ford Focus, fighting away with the Mark IV Mazda MX-5 that he's trying to draw himself alongside. This is going to be for a long way down through the order. Andy Burton's running in 26th position at the moment. I think it's the number 68 Mazda that he had been doing battle with. That's into the pit lane with the bonnet up now, the car that faltered at pit lane exit end. Green Star Racing. Hopefully, if the bonnet's up and they're working on it still, we might be able to see James Byrne and Ben Vos back out at some point. So Andy Burton at the wheel of the Ford Focus, got Ginetta behind him squabbling away. Then there's the car Hobson, who's in 11th position in the white car with yellow flashes to it, and she's got Wayne Cockrell right behind her, just behind this little trio that we've got here. And all of these are fighting over at the moment 7th, 8th, 9th place, and there is the squabble of the 2 Toyotas actually, so very evenly matched, Sarah Hobson. Wayne Cockrell we saw out racing yesterday in the Trackday Championship, but the pair of those two were separated by 0.4 of a second as they came over the start-finish line, and through the first sector it looks as though that's probably closed up even further. Andy Burton at the wheel of his Ford Focus is having a nibble, trying to get up the inside of the Jack Stewart and Tom Pugh Mazda MX-5 Mark 1, but he tries to make that stick, and in the meantime then loses ground and loses a place to the Ginetta G20 of David Griffiths, who had drawn himself alongside. Andy Burton sorts that out and makes sure he goes back through, and all of this whilst our front runners are still trying to dive their way through the order. Now we have had, I think, a bit of a shuffle there, have we? Because we've got David Zakchevsky trying to fight his way. He's right Right on the coattails of the next car and into the gravel trap. I'm afraid we've lost Sam Beard, so you're not going to get that car out of there, Sam, I'm afraid. If you don't dig it in much further, the marshals might be able to give you a shove, but if you get it axle deep, have one go at it, and when the wheels start spinning, stop, because all you're going to do is dig the car further in. The marshals will try and give you a shove. You might be able to rejoin the race, but if you dig it in that far, then you're definitely going to lose more time, because you'll be awaiting for a telehandler to come and get you. Ford Fiesta being dragged out, which I would imagine is one of the Ford Fiestas that harks back to the Fiesta Challenge that we used to have within the UK, which was always a support package to the British Touring Car Championship, and the likes of Colin Turkington and Gordon Shedden, amongst others, were very successful back in the 1990s and turn of the millennium. So the car that's behind the safety car is showing as being second in the race, which is the Colin Tester and James Rowling car. The car that is leading is right at the back of the shop, the yellow BMW, only just coming over the start-finish line now. So this might take a little bit of sorting out by race control, and the problem is we're a minute away from the pit window opening. So how they're going to sort this out before the pit window, I don't know. And then, of course, if we are still safety car when the pit window opens, everybody will come into the pits anyway, and the order that they come out of the pits will change dramatically. Right, okay, safety car's waving everybody by, so we are reordering the field. That's a good thing, pleased with that. Because it does now mean that because the pit window's open, half of these cars that are being waved by might dive for the pit lane anyway. Last time through, it took 2 minutes to do a lap behind the safety car, 2 minutes and a few seconds. So if you're smart about this, gun it, don't come into the pit lane, absolutely fly back round, catch the safety car again, keep your fingers crossed the safety car is going to do a further lap, get into the pits, conduct your 2 minute pit stop and get back out of the pits before the safety car comes around and puts you a lap down. That could be a tight strategy. It might not work, but it depends on the speed of the safety car, and it does now look as though the safety car has built up momentum and built up a little bit more speed again. So I think those that are in the pit lane are going to get trapped there, so maybe it wouldn't have worked, that strategy. Into the pit lane, okay. So I thought this would happen. The safety car waves everybody by so that it can get the race leader, Michael Rawlings, behind it. As soon as it gets Michael Rawlings behind it, pit window opens, Michael Rawlings comes into the pit lane. So now the problem for the safety car is, who is the race leader? It really depends who comes out of the pits now, closest to that minimum 2 minute pit stop, but who's going to be in the lead of the race. And you can see just how tight and difficult Honda Integra. Sarah Hobson comes out of the pit lane. Wayne Cockrell, who she was doing battle with, follows her out. So the two Salikas are going to rejoin absolutely nose to tail with each other. I could see in the background the Martin and Rob Adams Mazda just coming out of the pit lane now. That's the almost burgundy-esque car with the white roll cage to it making its way out of the pit lane. Mazda behind also coming out as well. That's going to be Colin Wells. And then the safety car coming out just as the window opened has changed the whole complexion of the race at this stage. So in theory, I think by the time we've cycled through it all, the car that should be leading the race may well be Michael Rawlings still, from the Porsche of Colin Tester / James Rowling. So down through the Craner curves, Colin Wells gets a big wiggly moment on, and the Mazda's going to go into the gravel trap. Is it the bottom of the Craner curves? No, it just about gathers up the moment on the inside of the old hairpin, but lots of arm twirling to try and get it back under his spell. Eventually it broke away from him, tripped through the gravel. Car comes out pointing roughly in the right direction, but has lost a chunk of time. So he had been running as the final place inside the top 20. That's not going to be the case anymore now, because at least 3 or 4 places would have been lost there, I would have thought. And we've still got a couple of cars that haven't pitted. There's no concern they haven't pitted, because there's still 8 minutes of the pit window open as yet. We're only just about to hit the halfway point of the race, and we've lost another one. And is that Tommy Valentine or Costa Krietsis we've lost into the gravel trap? The car had only just come out of the pit lane, and looking at the crash helmet, I think that is probably Costa Krietsis that's in the gravel trap there. Doesn't look like Tommy Valentine's crash helmet. So in the gravel it goes. Out of the gravel it will come at some point, but we may have to go safety car again. And if that's the case, that will without question be the point at which the car that leads the race. Shot into the pit lane comes now for the second time the Donington car, and we've also now lost out on circuit. William Lynch at the wheel of his Mini has had something happen down through the Craner curves. So it looks as though his car is so far out of the way that he's probably pulled in there with a mechanical issue. Car of Jeremy Evans and Phil Hart. So for Michael Rawlings, this plays beautifully well into his hands, because when the race finally gets back underway, he'll be able to accelerate when he wants to. Once the safety car is pulled away from him, he can go for it and build an advantage. And the cars that are nose to tail fighting over second and third won't be, is what he'll be getting. Lights are off on the safety car, so this is now for Michael Rawlings to decide as to when he wants to get things underway. He's so close to the safety car, can't really accelerate until the safety car peels its way into the pit lane. But remember, all the cars behind him are lapped cars in reality, and the two Honda Civics in the background of the shop can't overtake until the start-finish line, so Michael Rawlings can get on with it. He knows he's got a nice buffer of lots of lapped cars between himself and the two Hondas that are fighting over second and third place. That's the Robin Martin Adams number 3 Mazda MX-5. If you look right behind, that's Cameron McLean, I think, that's behind the wheel of his Renault Clio, fighting away. Saxo headquarters, which is George Wright and Simon Morris shared number 58 car. Mazda, which is the Mark II Mazda. Is it Mark II? Yes, it is the Mark II. Mike Fletcher and Alex Langdon, and they are fighting for position, I think, for 24th and 25th position. There's a few more cars that have been deemed as being too short on pit stops, as well as the 25 Green Star Racing Ford Fiesta grinds to a halt at the exit of the Robert chicane. It's parked almost up towards the barriers, but ideally could do with being a little bit further along so they can get it even more out of harm's way. Other cars with too short of pit stops, I'm afraid. Number 63, the Ford Focus of Andy Burton, too short in the pit stops. And also the sister car to it in the team, which is Tommy Valentine and Costa Critz's car, that brought about the second safety car period because it went in the gravel, and has also picked up a one-lap penalty for being too short in the pit stops. Right, squabbles, all for position as well. Semprini Racing under pressure. Jeremy Evans and Phil Hart's older shape Honda Civic now coming under the cosh again from Paul McHugh at the wheel of the newer one. This will be for 4th and 5th position, because Semprini Racing have already just lost one place to Justin Roberts at the wheel of the number 70 car that's gone through. So that now means that the number 70 car that Nicole Drought drove in the early stages of the race and is now in the hands of Justin Roberts is up into 3rd place overall. Jeremy Evans and Phil Hart's car down into 4th, but coming under pressure, as we say, from Paul McHugh. On that occasion, though, as the number 39 Honda had worked its way through and ahead, which was Paul McHugh. And also off the circuit up at Coppitt's Corner and rejoining, that's the number 83 Mazda by the look of the colour of it, Mike Fletcher and Alec Langston's car. Second place. He's going to be starting his last lap for too much longer, so onto the brakes, in towards the Robert chicane comes the Motion Motorsport Honda Civic. Race in the Trackday. That was an interesting race, with the pit stop occurring for most of the cars whilst we were under safety car. It did mean that it shuffled the order a little bit and then gave race control something to think about, really, as to how they were going to reshuffle the pack. And then just as it got the race leader behind it, then all of a sudden we then see that they get the race leader behind it, and then the race leader pits, so they've got even more shuffling to do. But that's it, we're just waiting for the final few cars to trickle their way over the start-finish line, and I think if all now taken the checkered flag after what was an interesting first race of the season for the MSVT Trackday Trophy. But that car there wins, the number 70 car of Justin Roberts and Nicole Drought, by just under 8 seconds in the end. It was 7.988 seconds that they secured the victory by of the season. So that's it, we are done for the moment with the MSV Trackday Championship. So we'll say goodbye to you from Donington Park. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.